We have the Detroit Lions taking on the San Francisco 49ers. This is your NFC Championship 2024 prediction and preview video. Hit subscribe if you're new. Also hit the like button. Let's start off with the San Francisco 49ers because they have the home field advantage. Last week was a very interesting but good week for this team. They defeated the Green Bay Packers 24-21, but it did come with a casualty. Deebo Samuel was not able to finish his game. He's dealing with a serious shoulder injury, and there's a possibility that he may miss this game. He is questionable, and if that's the case, that's a good portion of this offense gone, and they're going to have to go out there and replace that. Now, Jauan Jennings did come in last week, and he looked very good with this team. He had 5 catches for 61 yards, and he was a key wide receiver for Brock Purdy because Brock Purdy was throwing some risky balls to him towards the middle of the field, and he was catching them. George Kittle had 4 catches and 81 yards and a receiving touchdown, and on the day, early on, Brock Purdy did not look good because of the rain, and he looked confused by the coverages, but he ended strong. He was 23 of 39 for 252 passing yards and 1 passing touchdown. Against the Detroit Lions, you have to find a way to exploit the secondary. The Detroit Lions have the 26th passing defense in the regular season, and you have the key weapons to do so. You have Christian McCaffrey, who's been the best running back this season in the NFL, and last week, he was the engine that got them going. He averaged 6 yards a carry for 98 rushing yards with 2 rushing touchdowns. The run game may be hard for them to get off because you look at the Detroit Lions, even though their secondary has been beatable at times this season, their rushing defense is one of the best in the NFL. They have the second best rushing defense in the NFL. So you have to find a way to go out there and get Brock Purdy on his A game so he can get you over the hump. Not saying that they're going to just completely ice out Christian McCaffrey in this game because, like I mentioned before, he is the best running back in football, but Brock Purdy's going to have to be key on second and third down with this team, especially on third down. And he was key for this team down the stretch last week. He's going to do it consistently in this game because you're talking about facing a red-hot Detroit Lions team that's been very good on the offensive end, and their defense is starting to wake up as well. Cameron Sutton had a tough time guarding Mike Evans last week, and they had to put Mike Evans in double coverage. Use Brandon Ayuk in the similar situation and get George Kittle matched up on some of those linebackers. You can be in a great situation. Brock Purdy has a great rapport with George Kittle and Deebo Samuel, but if Deebo Samuel's out of this game, you have Jauan Jennings, who he has a great rapport with as well. Get those weapons going early in this game. And I'm not just saying go out there and just put all of it on Brock Purdy like how they tried to do on Christmas Day against the Baltimore Ravens. Get that run game going first, and if it does stall out, call some screen plays, get Christian McCaffrey matched up on the linebackers and the safety to open up things for everyone else on the offensive end. This is a key game for Brock Purdy to prove that he is a franchise quarterback for this team, and he can mask a lot of the problems with the offensive line because the offensive line last week was not having their best day. And they did not have their best day against the Baltimore Ravens as well. Brock Purdy, in my opinion, is a very good quarterback for this team. He's going to have to go out there and prove why he's one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL this season, and I believe that he can do it. But it comes down to him and the play calling from Kyle Shanahan. And speaking of play calling, when you look at Steve Wilks, for the first couple of games of the season, the defense was very suspect, but he decided to come down from the booth and step on the field. And when they made the trade to go get Chase Young, everything else fell in place for this team on the defensive end. They're 14th in passing defense during the regular season, and they have the 3rd best rushing defense in the NFL as well. You have key playmakers on this team. Dre Greenlaw had 2 interceptions last week against Jordan Love. One of the interceptions was a tip pick, and the second one was the last pick of the game. Dre Greenlaw's had to go out there and be a playmaker in this game as well, and the same with Fred Warner. Stop the run game of the Detroit Lions and make them go out there and target the secondary. Steve Wilks is a very good defensive coordinator in terms of scheming up good things in the secondary. Pass rush wise, he is okay. You have guys like Nick Bosa and Chase Young that are going to have to step up in this game, and the same with Javon Hargrave as well. They had to go out there, put a lot of pressure on Jared Goff, but force him off his spot and force him to get off that first read. Charvarius Ward is a Pro Bowl corner with this team, and this is the first year he's going to the Pro Bowl. You have to match him up on Amon-Ra St. Brown, who is the best wide receiver on this team. He's one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. Charvarius Ward had a good game last week, and he's been good all season long. He has to come out in this game, travel around with Amon-Ra St. Brown, and tackle him in space. That's when you get into the territory of Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner, who have been excellent tacklers all season long. But I'm also looking at some other players with this team as well to step up. Jair Brown at the safety position has been very good with this team. But you're going to have to go out there and step it up even more against a tough Detroit Lions team. And I'm looking at Eric Armstead as well. He came back. He played last week. He was still dealing with an injury, but he looked very solid against the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers allowed a lot of rushing yards to Aaron Jones, and Jordan Love had a lot of success early on in that game. You have to go out there, set the tone early, and stop this team from being aggressive. Get Jared Goff off the first read, knock him off his spot, and try your best not to blitz him as much in this game. Go out there and win with your secondary and win by just getting pass rush up front with Chase Young and Nick Bosa. Now let's talk about the Detroit Lions. Last week was a great week for this team. You defeated the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in great fashion. And all the Detroit Lion fans right now really feel like this is the time for them to go to the Super Bowl because you defeated the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 31-23. I am worried about the secondary with the Detroit Lions. Cameron Sutton did not look good last week. He has looked solid in the regular season, but last week was a troubled sign because of how he was not able to go out there and stop Mike Evans. Like I mentioned before, they had to put him in double coverage. But towards the end, Aaron Glenn, who was a defensive coordinator that a lot of people have given flack in the past, he did a lot of smart things by flipping the safety over and giving him safety help and forcing Baker Mayfield to go into other situations. I can see the same thing happening in this game. Make those in-game adjustments to stop Christian McCaffrey and to stop Brandon Ayuk. Even if Deebo Samuel was out for this game, this is still a tough San Francisco 49ers team. But you have to stop Christian McCaffrey. And that is one thing the Green Bay Packers couldn't do last week. Force Brock Purdy to beat you. Play a similar game plan the Baltimore Ravens did on Christmas Day. You do not have the same playmakers on the defensive side that the Ravens do, but you have very good playmakers. You have a guy in Aiden Hutchinson who has 8 sacks in the last 4 games. He's going to have to come out here and set the tone. Go out there, put a lot of pressure on Brock Purdy, and force him to throw into tight windows, whether that's by playing a lot of zone or playing man. I would not play too much soft coverage against this 49ers team because they can beat you over the top with guys like George Kittle. George Kittle had a beautiful touchdown catch last week that went straight into the red zone because Brock Purdy can make that throw. Brock Purdy can make elite level throws. Just force him to do it all over and over again against your defense, and you can be in a great situation. This is a key game for C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who had a great season with the Philadelphia Eagles. He missed a good portion of the season dealing with a pec injury. He's going to go out there and be that playmaking safety with this team. And I look at Barnes as well at the linebacking spot. Had a beautiful interception last week that sealed the game against Baker Mayfield. Carry over that momentum into this game as well. Besides Aiden Hutchinson, you don't have that much pass rush with this team because James Houston has been out. If he's able to play in this game, that's a major plus. But you can dial in some blitzes as well to go out there and put a lot of pressure on Brock Purdy. But whatever you do, stop Christian McCaffrey and force Brock Purdy to beat you. I think that the Detroit Lions will be okay if Brock Purdy goes out there and beats them strictly with their arm. I'm not saying just go out there and just sell out on Christian McCaffrey and don't worry about anyone else. That's what the Dallas Cowboys did early this season, and look at what happened to them. Brock Purdy was able to beat him, slow down Christian McCaffrey, and force Brock Purdy to take the check down, something that he wasn't trying to do last week early on against the Green Bay Packers. As far as the offense for the Detroit Lions, this is what they're known for. They're known for going out there, running the football, and for Jared Goff to putting this team on his back the last couple of weeks. He was 30 of 43 last week for 287 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns. And the thing is with the Detroit Lions, all season long, they have been consistently good on the offensive end. They're second in total, they're second in passing offense, third in total offense, and 5th in rushing offense as well. You have to go out there and get the run game going with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs has been a phenomenal running back with this team because he's a change of pace running back, and it's just his first year in the NFL. He's going to be special for years to come. He's the guy who can do a lot of toss plays with, get the ball into his hands in the receiving role, and just go out there and get good chunk plays off of him. That's the thing that you have to do in this game, and try to force the San Francisco 49ers to dial back that pressure up front. This is a very aggressive front as well. You call some screens, you'll be in a better situation. The key things here with both teams is how would the game planning look and how would the play calling look. When you talk about Kyle Shanahan versus Dan Campbell, when you talk about Coach Johnson going against Steve Wilks, who's the defensive coordinator for the 49ers, and Coach Johnson, who's the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. You have to go out there, keep Jared Goff protected. From tackle to tackle, you can argue that the Detroit Lions have the best offensive line in the NFL. One thing that everyone needs to pay attention to is the fact that Frank Ragnow is dealing with an injury. He sprained his ankle and his knee last week in the win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But he is so tough, he was able to finish that game with a couple of days of rest, and with pretty much a full week of rest, you can expect for him to go out there and be aggressive in this game as well. It's going to come down to the offensive line and the run game with the Detroit Lions. They also have Sam Laporta, who is one of the best tight ends in the NFL. I mentioned George Kittle before. He's been around for a couple of years. He's a great veteran tight end with the San Francisco 49ers. But you look at Sam Laporta, just his first season, 10 receiving touchdowns with 889 receiving yards on the season. Just a perfect season for this kid. Expect for him to get a lot of targets on third down, and especially in the red zone area as well. You have Amon-Ra St. Brown, who had a beautiful reception last week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he had a great game. 8 catches for 77 yards off of 14 targets. He's one of the best wide receivers in the game. Get him going in the space so he can go out there and break some tackles and get things going up front to get the Detroit Lions some extra yardage and just try to get that pass rush off of Jared Goff. David Montgomery is a very good running back with this team in short yardage situations, but you have to feed Jahmyr Gibbs in this game. With that being said, this is going to be a very good football game all around. I am taking the upset here. I have the Detroit Lions winning this game 31-28. But let me know in the comment section below, who do you have winning this game? The Detroit Lions or the San Francisco 49ers? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, when each and every last one, guys, stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Peace.